Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where the gnomes live. We are sitting inside my craft room. It is January the 8th, 2018, and I am so excited today because I am announcing a new project for this year. I am building a new tree, and I'm doing it all on film. Those of you who follow my Facebook page are familiar with my gnome home. I started that in 2014, and I've had countless messages over the years of how I did certain things in that home. Although I did get some on film, there's a lot of things I didn't get on film. So I decided the best thing to do to answer all those questions was to answer them as I build this new tree. So the only difference between these two trees is the gnome home has 4 sides, and it has its own little world on each side. So that's why it's taken me so many years to build this thing. And then also I'm supposed to be putting a mole's home underneath it. So this is a huge project. This tree here is just going to be one side. We're only going to be able to see into one side of it because I'm building it into the wall. Of course, you don't have to do that. I hope you do build a tree, but I know that 99.9% of you are not going to be building a tree into your wall like I'm doing here. But I thought this was a good time because I want to build a tree. It's a good time to bring you along with me, and then you can see how I do things and hopefully give you some inspiration, give you some ideas, and set you on your way for building your own tree. So this tree here, I started December 27th, 2017, so just last year, just about 2 weeks ago. And I have been working non-stop, night and day actually. You see the bags under my eyes. I'm really tired. I was trying really hard to get enough videos together and upload them to YouTube, enough videos that would get you started and also that you could finish. You could finish your house with what I've given you now. I'm going to continue for a long time yet, but there's enough in the videos that I have now that you could actually build a tree and finish it. You don't have to wait for me to finish the series. And I also have other videos here on YouTube as well that will show you how to do bark and stuff like that. So even though I don't have the fake bark on my tree yet, I do have videos here on YouTube that will show you how to do that. So like I said, this house, I hopefully will answer all the questions that I've had come in about this house. So I'm going to go over everything that I do, like hinges, fabric hinges. I'm going to be building furniture and the creatures as well. That's going to be further down into the project. So I'm going to do everything from the very beginning. So everything that you've seen come out of here is going to come out of here, hopefully. Okay, and I'll be doing video updates as we go along as well with myself. Hopefully the next one I won't have as much bags under my eyes. I'm a little bit tired today. But yeah, so I'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and we'll stop and we'll see where we're at and stuff like that. So I hope you have fun, and please keep in touch on Facebook, Dollhouses, and the things that go in them. Post as many pictures as you'd like to. I'd love to see. Alright, so for basic supplies, what you need today to get started on your tree, of course, is some boxes. And I believe I have 7 or 8 boxes in my setup there. Size of box doesn't really matter because you could use one great big box and put floors into it to separate them. You can use small boxes, and I show you how to expand those. I think that's in part 1 or 2. I can't remember. But I show you how to make a small box much bigger. Okay, so you got your boxes. And then cardboard. And if I would have realized this when I started, I would have included that into the video, but I wasn't really thinking because honestly, I've never really built a multi-level dollhouse out of boxes before, so this is a first for me. I have used one box and installed a floor separator, but I've never done boxes like this. If I would have been thinking ahead, I would have gotten large pieces of cardboard, not these ones, but large ones, and put them in between the levels. And that will just give you extra stability on the ceilings and floors. And I'll get more into that later on. I actually had to, in the last video, part 14, yeah, the last video I just filmed, I showed how to level out a floor that was kind of wonky, and it's only because there's pressure coming up from the top of the floor and it's coming down, so the next floors underneath get a little bit wonky. So in between your boxes, cardboard stabilizers would be great. Okay, and then for bark is tin foil, and I get cheap stuff, and I get a lot of it. I use a lot of tin foil. If you were to make a tree half the size of what I've got now, I would start off with 400 feet to start off with, and keep your receipt. Whatever you don't use, you can return. So just get cheap tin foil and make sure it doesn't say non-stick, because you need masking tape to stick to it. And again, get lots of masking tape because you're going to go through a lot of it, and then keep your receipt. Whatever you don't use, you can return. I would start off with about five rolls and get the wide ones. The reason why I'm telling you to get extra is because if you're all inspired one night and all the stores are closed, it'll be really sad if you don't have the materials to work. So I always make sure I have extra in the house because I usually get inspired late at night when my kids are in bed, and I feel like working, and I'll work until 2, 3 in the morning, and there's no stores open, so I like to make sure I have extra. Okay, and then for the bark, cheap paper towel. Don't get Bounty or anything like that, or anything that's quilted. This does have a design, but it's very cheap towel. It's only a 2-ply, and I got mine at Walmart. And when I dip this one in glue, it saturates both sides, and that design there disappears. But if you get like a 3-ply or something, you're going to have to pull those plies apart. Alright, and what's the other thing for basic bark? Oh, hot glue. Okay, hot glue, and get a larger pack because you use a lot of it for your tin foil. And then the other thing is tacky glue. Now, please don't ask me how much you need because I really don't know. I always buy the big bulky jugs like this. There's 3.8 liters in here. And I go through a lot of glue. I mix it with water as well, and this is just cheap stuff. This is only $23. I live in Canada, so our prices are a little bit higher. But 3.8 liters of glue, that's not bad, $23. Yeah, so if you're a crafter, I mean, it's always nice to have tacky glue in the house, so I would go for a big jug of it if you can. And what's the other basic supply for bark? I think that's it. Oh! A fan. If you can get clip-on fans like this, I would get a couple of these. If you're going to be a crafter, craft a lot, I would get a couple of these anyway. But the big, tall, stand-up fans are fine too. And the color of bark, I'm going to get into that as we get further into the project. I'm not going to go over that anytime soon because color is hard. A color of tree is really hard to get. When I first started my tree house, I painted it a real yucky brown. It was really yucky. And then I've kind of progressed and learned and stuff, and I'm getting there. I'm hoping to make this tree here a little bit different than this one, so the color is going to be different. I have to do some research and stuff, so we'll get into that further down the project. Okay, and then lights. You can light up your dollhouse, and I'm going to talk about lights with you in the next clip. So let's watch that, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, let's talk about the different options for lighting. There are actual dollhouse lights out there that you can buy, and they're super expensive. They're the ones that you can attach right into your walls, and it would look like there's an actual light that you can flick on and off inside the wall, just like in a real house. Like there's real lights, there's real lamps that turn on and off and things like that. This lighting that I have here is only for the purposes of lighting up your dollhouse at nighttime. I like to have a dollhouse that lights up. When my kids were little, they would like to light the dollhouse up so they could play with it at nighttime. I mean, it's just nice to have something that you can light up. So my solution for lighting up the dollhouse without spending a whole whack of money was either string lights with a battery pack, and that's these things here, or this push on and off night lights. These work well in my mushroom houses. I've built mushroom houses. These great big ones can go inside the caps because the caps of the mushroom house are so large. So you can bury this in and you'd never see it, but you could reach into the mushroom and turn it on and off. So when you do something like that, of course you want to be able to take it down so you can change the batteries. So I use Velcro. So I would put one piece into the ceiling, glue it in, and then another piece here, and of course it will stay stuck to that Velcro. Here's another little one. I put tape over the light because it was so bright to tone the light down a bit. So I have a nice soft light now. And then the other option is to install lights into your ceilings permanently. In my gnome home, I've used strings of lights. Now you have to be careful what you buy because years ago I had built a castle. It was huge. I built castles out of dressers, and I bought all these string lights. Well, one half of my castle was cool light, and then after I had installed the other half, I realized it was warm lights. So there was 2 different tones of light in my castle. I'll never forget that. When I turned them all on, I was like, oh no! And it was a lot of work to take the time to string these lights each into each and every ceiling. So I left them until the kids stopped playing with the castle, and then I just chalked it up as lesson learned. So that's one thing to keep in mind, cool and warm light. The other thing is, and I just found this out by accident, for the tree I'm building now, I ordered myself 33 feet of string lights, and I was all excited when they got here until I turned them on, and I'll tell you why. They don't light up so well. They're what they're called fairy lights. So they twinkle and they do all sorts of different things. And then there's the setting where you can keep it on steady. There we go. Well, you can tell already that this isn't very bright. So when I put this in one of the rooms, I was like, oh, I'm so disappointed. But no loss, I'm going to give these to my daughter. She's going to use them in her bedroom. So I'm not going to install those ones. So just keep in mind, if you go on Amazon and you're looking at lights, if you don't mind a dim light, then those fairy lights would work well, and that's what these ones look like. It was 33 feet for $16, which is a great deal. And it also comes with a remote. This one here, 33 feet with a remote. So that's exciting for my daughter. No lights for the dollhouse. These ones I got at the dollar store, and they're 3 feet, and I think I paid $3, I think? Or I can't remember. But they're cheap. And I found this battery pack thingy would break down on me. So what I had to do was take the top off, and I put a little piece of tin foil in between one of the batteries and the connector, and now it seems to work fine. It works fine. So when you buy stuff at the dollar store, you got to keep in mind that it might not work so well. But I think this is working enough that I can install these into a couple of the rooms. It's not 33 feet, but that's okay. I'm going to install this anyway, and I might end up using in my treehouse one of these lights as well, or maybe even both of them. Okay, so once you have your boxes assembled, you're gonna glue your boxes together, and then you're gonna add masking tape. You can put some bark on it if you want to, like tin foil and stuff, but leave the front of it free of any bark until you get your walls, your ceilings, and your floors done, and then you can put bark around that. And also, you can also install some lights too. So which brings me to my next set of supplies. For the walls, when I started this project, in my mind, I had already decided to use homemade clay, and that's what this house here has. And I will use that eventually in this project, because I want to show you how I apply it, because I've had that question a lot. But I had this stuff in my house, and it's drywall compound. I had no idea I was going to use this. I ended up using this in all my walls and ceilings, and it's a dream to work with. Oh my goodness, I was so happy. So I just take a piece of cardboard, and this is almost empty now, but I can show you what it looks like. Almost empty. I didn't use this whole thing. This was half full when I opened it, and it's just like a clay. I prefer to work with clay in some areas, but this kind of spreads around like clay. It will crack if it's spread on too thick, but it's not a big deal, because once it's dry, you can fill all the little cracks in with more of this stuff, and then the cracks are gone. And then you can paint over it, and you'll never notice if there's any cracks. So this is called drywall compound. You don't have to get this brand. You don't have to get it that says ultralight. Just get a drywall compound that's ready mixed. And that hides a bunch of imperfection too, because that brings me to my next point. In your boxes, your walls and corners and stuff are going to be square, obviously. I prefer to round mine out. You don't have to do that, but I show you how to do it. So I rounded out all the walls and the ceilings. In doing that, I had to cover the imperfections with a clay or with this stuff. So that's what I did with mine, but that's just personal preference. Of course, we're all going to be different, and we all have different styles. And if you want square walls in yours, that's totally fine. I mean, most dollhouses do have square corners. So if you do keep your boxes square, then you don't have to worry about this stuff. You can just do wallpaper or paper mache on your walls, and that'd be fine. Or just even paint them. You can even paint them. Okay, and then you have to think about floors. Now, I'm going to show you all different floors. I've decided to do all different floors in this tree, so you can have all different options. So one of them was, I made a hardwood floor out of paper towel and instant coffee. And then I'm going to show you how to do a real wooden floor, and I use coffee stir sticks. And then I show you how to do a carpet. So this is just upholstery or drapery fabric I found in the thrift store, and it worked. It's very, very thin, and it worked wonderfully as a carpet. I did another runner on top of my stairs, and it's just a pillow cover. This was 50 cents at the thrift store, and then I found this. I might use this as well. You just go to your thrift store and see what you can find there. And there's all sorts of things that you can use for carpets, all sorts of things you can use for curtains and stuff like that. So thrift stores are wonderful for that. And what's the other thing? Oh, I will show you how to do a stone floor as well. I haven't gotten that far yet, but that is coming up as well. Okay, so a couple other things. A glue stick comes in handy, X-Acto knife, of course, and scissors. And I just use regular craft paint in my dollhouse. Everything that I do, the walls and the ceilings and the floors, all get a coat of Varathane. This is a water-based matte sealer. I just seal everything up. Of course, you don't have to do that. That is personal preference again. Alright, so we're almost ready to get started. I do want to say, though, I want you to feel free to copy me. You can copy me if you want to. I believe that once you get started, your own ideas are going to come to you. Don't think that anything that I do is the best way to do it. I'm usually just winging my way along, and sometimes I get a better idea to do something after the fact, and you'll see that in this dollhouse too. Like, I made baseboards, and I covered, you know how cardboard has those little holes? When you cut cardboard and there's holes along the top, and I wanted to paint those, but I knew I couldn't, so I covered it with paper towel. And then after I was done, I realized I could have just filled those holes with this spackle stuff. So, and that was in the next video. So just because I do something doesn't mean it's the best way. It's an option. If you don't have this stuff, you can definitely cover up cardboard with paper towel, and that works great. But the easier way was to do with this stuff. So I'm not a planner, and I don't measure anything. Everything is done by eye. I will show you, and I think in the first part I will show you the measurements of my boxes just so you get an idea, but I don't think it really matters. I just want to help you build something out of nothing and give you options. If you don't have wood to work with, then you can build with tinfoil. That's what I do. Most everything I build is out of tinfoil, and it's only because I don't have skills to work with wood. But the things that I build are sturdy. They can be played with. And my kids and their kids will play with these things, and I'm happy about that. That fills my heart with joy. So if you can't work with wood like me, then watching these videos will be helpful. So if you are a perfectionist, which is not a bad thing, that's a great thing, I wouldn't watch me because I am the furthest thing from perfection. Everything I do is wonky. I don't have straight lines. Tinfoil has opened up a whole new world for me. I have found out that I can build anything I want out of foil. And in the end, it works well, I think, and you can get a charming little house. Alright guys, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm just going to link you to part 1. It should be popping up on your screen right about now. Also look in the description box below. There will be a playlist. The playlist will have every video available in it.